Here's the question I get in almost every single consultation, whether a family is spending $1 million or $10 million. Rebecca, should we be in South Miami, Pinecrest, or Coral Gables? On paper, these three markets almost mirror each other. The listings all say great schools, amazing location, and high demand. But here is the reality that Zillow and the online search portals will never show you. The moment you cross a single street, sometimes just crossing Red Road, 57th Avenue, or Sunset Drive, your reality changes instantly. Suddenly, your property taxes change, your school zone changes, and the real value of your home can swing by 20% over time. I call this the South Miami Quadrant. It's where three of Miami's most aggressive, high-demand markets collide. If you buy on the wrong side of the line, you might be paying a Coral Gables premium without getting the Coral Gables services. Or you might be paying Pinecrest taxes without actually getting the Pinecrest acre and lifestyle that you thought you were buying. And I need to be real with you. This happens more often than you think. I've seen it countless times. A seller approaches me to list their home, and when I look at the deed and the taxes, I have to be the one to deliver the bad news. They realize too late that they bought into a hype, not a reality. Often they say, Rebecca, nobody told me when I bought this home. The reality is, looking at photos online doesn't tell you the full story or the neighborhood. It's easy to miss the nuances until you actually live there. My goal today is to give you the clarity before you sign a contract so that you don't make a six-figure mistake. My name is Rebeca Cruz with RealMiami. I work with families at every stage of their lives, from the first investment property to their forever estate. My role is to be your lifetime advisor, not just a transactional agent. Today, I'm breaking down the border battle, not just by price, but by how you really live. Let's get the actual data and the realities on the ground. Before we talk numbers, we have to talk personality. These areas are not interchangeable. If you buy in South Miami paying Gables prices or buy in Gables expecting Pinecrest square footage, the math will never work in your favor. If you don't match the neighborhood to your lifestyle, the numbers won't save the decision later on. Eventually, reality comes knocking. First, let's talk about South Miami and specifically the pockets like High Pines and Ponce Davis. This is for the buyer who prioritizes walkability and the village feel. If you want to walk to dinner to Sunset Place, grab a coffee without getting into your car, or have your kids bike to the park, this is your spot. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Rebecca, nobody walks in Miami, but let me correct that misconception. In these specific pockets, they do. Depending on your location, Sunset Place is likely a mile away. This is one of the few places in Miami where you can actually live the pedestrian lifestyle. You're trading the massive estate in Pinecrest for a boutique village feel that keeps you close to the Grove and the Gables. It's tight, it's friendly, and it's incredibly central. Next, Pinecrest. Pinecrest is for the family that prioritizes land and volume. This is where you go when you want the compound. You want the full acre, the pool, the summer kitchen, the tennis court, and space for the kids and guests. You're trading the walkability for privacy, space, and direct access to the legendary public schools like Pinecrest Elementary. Finally, we have Coral Gables. The Gables is for the buyer that values brand and aesthetic. You're buying into a legacy. You want the tree-lined streets, the architecture, and the strict zoning. But you need to remember, in the Gables, lots are often smaller and homes can be older compared to Pinecrest at the same budget. You are paying a premium for the zip code and the protection of the brand. So what is the difference between Coral Gables and South Miami? In very simple terms, the price tag versus the product. In South Miami, you get a friendlier price tag with often a newer, more modern home. In the Gables, you get the heftier price tag, often with an older home, but you secure that historic charm that is forever intertwined with the city beautiful. I work with clients across a wide range of price points, so let's talk about what money actually buys you in 2026. Now, I need to put a major disclaimer here. The Miami market moves fast. Inventory shifts every 30 to 60 days. So rather than giving you the specific price tag that might expire by the time you watch this video, I want to talk about the asset strategy in two different levels. First, we have the core entry strategy, which targets about $2.5 to $3 million in price range. When a family tells me that they're roughly in that $2.5 to $3 million zone, when they want to buy something that looks very different depending on which side of the border they focus on, in Pinecrest, that tier often behaves as land value territory. You're usually getting a good lot and a livable home, but not the full brand new modern estate. The play here is long-term potential. You buy for the school zone and the acre and you renovate over time, not purely turnkey glamour on day one. In South Miami or High Pines, that same tier more often gets you into a smaller scale single family home, or an attached product with strong finishes and lifestyle walkability, proximity to the Grove and the Gables, and a more urban suburban feel, but on less land than Pinecrest. In Coral Gables, that budget typically pushes you toward more modest pockets of the city or into well-located condos and townhomes. You're buying into the Gables brand, architecture, and streetscape, but you have to be realistic that this tier you're not getting into the massive lot or sprawling floor plan you might see in Pinecrest. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the diamond in the rough opportunity. Every so often, there is a diamond in the rough, a renovated single-family home with a pool, solid lot, great walkability, and even income potential that sneaks in at the low $2 million. Those deals exist, but they are the exception, not the rule. And they vanish quickly, which is why you have to treat them as an opportunistic win, not a baseline expectation. Let me give you a real lifetime example. I have a long client. Let's call him Client X. He's a savvy investor. He wanted a strong location, passive income potential, but also a place that his family could eventually use, all with a strict $2 million budget. We searched everywhere, and ultimately, the Gables didn't offer enough value. We finally landed in South Miami. With the right strategy, we secured a renovated single-family home with a generous lot and a pool for just under 2.1. What did he get? A huge win, a move-in ready asset, and immediate tenant income. That was a moment where trusting the process paid off. Precisely the kind of deal that would not have existed in Pinecrest or Coral Gables at that price point, or honestly, even in South Miami for most days. It's proof of what is possible in this quadrant when you are ready to act, not necessarily a promise or what you will see on the market every single week. The market is unpredictable, and these opportunities challenge us to move fast. Now, let's talk about the $5 million plus buyer, because this is where the trade-offs become very clear. At this level, you're not just choosing a house, you're choosing a lifestyle and a long-time equity story. In Pinecrest, $5 million plus is where you're firmly in that modern estate territory. Think a large lot, resort-style outdoor living, pool, summer kitchen, guest spaces, and volume. You get scale, privacy, and that true compound feel that so many families want when they stretch into this tier. In Coral Gables, that same budget buys you something architecturally beautiful and highly curated, usually on a smaller lot. You're paying a premium for historic charm, canopy streets, and strict zoning that protects the character of the neighborhood. The focus is brand, aesthetic, and long-term stability more than pure square footage. In South Miami, especially in Ponce Davis and High Pines, that $5 million plus behaves like a wild moment in the market. You can sometimes get Gables level finishes with lot sizes and layouts that start to feel closer to Pinecrest. This is the dream house. Zone for many buyers, a modern, high-finish home in a central location without always paying the absolute peak Gables premium. The smart money play I'm watching closely is what I call the bleeding edge, the streets in South Miami that border the Gables. In that right quarter, they offer a Gables adjacent lifestyle without the full price tag, which is where some of the most interesting long-term equity stories tend to show up. But that opportunity shifts with each new set of market data. And that's exactly why I publish fresh, deep dives instead of locking you into the one static price point. Now let's talk about the unsexy part, the things nobody mentions in their listing description, but that will absolutely shape your daily life. If you have kids, you need to respect what I call the school corridor along Red Road and 57th Avenue. If you live deep in Pinecrest, but your children go to private schools closer to the Grove, like Gulliver, Ransom, or Carrollton, that 7:45 a.m. commute is brutal. Living in South Miami or High Pines can easily save you 20 to 30 minutes per drive. Over a week, that's hours of your life back. We're talking about quality of life here. That's the kind of detail that doesn't show up in a price per square foot report, but it matters just as much as the kitchen finishes. Often, buyers don't realize this until they're stuck in traffic on that day. If you plan to renovate, you need to know who holds the stamp. Coral Gables is known for its very strict building codes. This protects your property value, but it also means renovations are slower, more expensive, and strictly regulated. South Miami and Pinecrest generally offer more flexibility and speed. If your plan is to buy or immediately start customizing, you need to know that you're facing a 3-month approval process or a 9-month battle. These are details that separate a good purchase from a truly smart one. So where's the market moving the fastest right now? Coconut Grove sits right next door and sets the pace. South Miami is drafting off of that energy. In pockets like High Pines, inventory is tight and well-priced homes fly off the market. Pinecrest is steady, but buyers are selective. They want that turnkey. If you're selling a dated home in Pinecrest, you have to price it right or renovate it. Here's my advice. If you're a seller anywhere in this South Miami Quadrant, you're in a strong position if you price for your specific micro neighborhood, not the city average. If you're a buyer, your question should not be which city is better. It should be which zone fits my next 10 years. If you want the acre and the privacy, you lean toward Pinecrest. If you want to walk to dinner and cut your commute, you fight for South Miami. If you value pure brand, architecture, and legacy, you pay for the Gables and you enjoy every single minute of it. Real estate isn't just about being high net worth. It's about how your family actually lives, where you drink your coffee, how long you sit in traffic, and where you go for your kids to go to school. If you're serious about the South Miami Pinecrest Gables border battle and you want real numbers behind it, I can put together a custom market brief for you. Things like current inventory in your price range, recent sales in the streets that you actually care about, and how different school zones or tax lines impact long-term value. If you send me the areas and the budget that you're considering, my team and I can build the data around your search, not just a generic zip code report. Knowledge is a gift, and awareness is power. So if you're looking for a specific home or you're trying to decide between a few zones in this quadrant, send me a message and mention Border Battle. There's no pressure and no obligation, just clarity, so you're not making the 7-figure decision in the dark. I'm Rebeca Cruz with RealMiami. Whether you're investing, buying your first home, or securing your dream estate, my goal is to help you make the smart move. I'll see you on the next episode. If this was helpful, please like and share this video. It really helps more people find it. Subscribe for weekly Miami real estate videos, and I'll see you in the next one. ¿Listas? Ready, set, go. In Pinecrest, that tier often behaves like land value. Sorry. Where? But you have to be realistic with all of this tier. Ready, set, go.